I don't want a house in a flood zone. That's one of the #1 things that I hear from new buyers to our area, so today we're going to talk about flood zones. Stay tuned. Hi, Kathy Palmer with Michael Saunders & Company, and if you like these short real estate and lifestyle videos about the Sarasota, Florida area, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and click on that little bell so that you know every time I put out a new video. So there's a couple named storms in the Gulf of Mexico right now and in this area, so I thought this would be a really good time to talk about flood zones. It's also a really great time to go to those neighborhoods that you like and really look and see how well the neighborhoods hold water. Two of the biggest questions are how much is it going to cost and who needs it? So we're going to discuss our 3 probably most prevalent flood zones in the area, and that's going to be VE, AE, and X. According to FEMA, the flood zone VE is for coastal areas that have a 1% chance or greater of flooding annually and has additional hazards associated with storm waves. High risk area AE is the base floodplain where base flood elevations are provided, and this is a higher risk area as well. Flood zone X is a low to moderate risk, and flood zone X is the area determined to be outside of the 500-year flood plain and protected by a levee from a 100-year flood. So what does this mean to the average person? So really, when people say they don't want to live in a flood zone, the flood zone X is technically considered a flood zone, but it is a very low to moderate risk flood zone, and we have quite a bit of that in the area. The AE flood zone and the VE flood zones are the more higher risk and the ones that will be more costly for insurance. So how do you find out what flood zone the property is located in? Well, there's a couple different ways, and I'll show you here on the computer. From the Property Appraiser website, click on search and then do a real property search. And I'm just going to put in my office here on Main Street. Then go ahead and go down and click the search button. And when the property record comes up, scroll down to the very bottom of the page, and that's where you're going to find the FEMA flood map data. And there's a little link that you can click on that says use the map. So we're going to click on that. And my building is the aqua colored sort of L shape there, and you can see the flood zones are all on the right hand side of the page, and there are quite a few in the downtown area here. And even as I pan, you can see that there are a lot of flood zones in the area. Oftentimes a flood elevation certificate is going to be needed in order to determine the structure's height above the base floodplain. A flood elevation certificate is a document needed to verify your property's elevation relative to the estimated height floodwaters could reach in the event of a major flood, and this is especially true in high-risk zones. So how much does a flood insurance policy cost? Well, there's quite a few variables that really make up that cost. However, a flood policy starts most of the time in the low $400 a year, so it can be quite affordable. Flood policies typically will cover up to $250,000 on the home and up to $100,000 on the contents of the home. However, there are private flood policies that can increase those limits. There's a few things that are going to impact the price of the flood policy. #1 is going to be the risk to the property. #2 is the type of coverage that you're looking for. Also the deductible, the location of the structure, the design and age of the structure, and the location of the structure's connected utilities. And all of these factors kind of make up the matrix to how much this flood policy is. So now that you know a little bit more about how the cost is figured, how do you know if it's going to be necessary? Well, for the government-backed loans, if the property is located in a low or a moderate risk flood zone, like an X flood zone, you will not be required by a lender to carry flood insurance on the property. If you happen to have a cash transaction, it's never required, but if you are in an AE or a VE or some of the other flood zones in the area, a lender will require you to carry flood insurance for the property. Keep in mind that flood maps do change over time, so while you may purchase a home that's in a low-risk flood zone, it could be moved into a moderate risk later. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to reach out. You can text, email, or just give me a call if you've got any questions about flood zones or about any other real estate related items in the Sarasota Manatee area. I've also got a link in the description for a real easy one-click contact form. You can send me a question with just one click. Thanks again for watching.